r/AskReddit. What was your first encounter with utter nonsense during your childhood? My mom finding a cigarette in the backyard, accusing me of having stolen a friend's mom's cigarettes to secretly smoke there, and grounding me for it despite me not having done any such thing. I was like 9 at that time. My mom had cigarettes and cash constantly come up missing. I took the blame for all of it until they found out our ferret had a secret nest in the lining of the couch and her favorite raiding place was mom's purse. That's like an episode of Community. How did you guys make up? I got no apology or recognition that my parents were in the wrong. Grew up, and now I'm an adult in treatment for PTSD from repeated childhood trauma and neglect. On the plus side, both my parents got help for their issues and are way easier to have a relationship with now. When I was in 3rd grade I got suspended for being beat up on the playground. They had a zero tolerance for violence policy. Also I never took a swing, just punished for being bullied. Same thing in 6th grade. That's how I understood that I might as well fight back. I hear you. I got in trouble, got suspended, and the same kid started another fight with me the day we came back. Boom. Suspended again. That genuinely helped me understand that life is not fair, we are not trying to make it fair, and you need to protect yourself at a really young age. When the same thing happened in junior high school I was more ready. I was 4 years old, in preschool. We were having water day, which was this day full of water-based fun activities. Little kid me had been looking forward to this for weeks. Before we had free time to enjoy all the water games and kiddie pools, we had to do some mandatory team building games. There was this girl who hated me for no reason, and of course I got put by her. We were doing this game where we had to pass a solo cup full of water down the line of kids as fast as possible. So cup gets to me, I try to hand it to her. She stares at me for like 10 seconds while I hold this cup like a jackass, waiting for her to take the damn cup. Our team loses. She grabs the cup and splashes it on herself. She starts screaming/bawling. Teachers come over, and she babbles about how I wouldn't give her the cup then threw it at her when we lost. I get left alone in the music room all day staring at the grey walls, while the rest of the class got to have fun playing in water. It was such bullshit it formed a core memory. I think you saw a Karen in development. I was bullied a lot in elementary school. To be fair, I was a pretty easy target for the bullying. So every day at lunch and recess I would get chased and harassed by 4 other boys. One day the teacher assigned to keep order on the playground grabbed me and told me to quit running. But of course, as soon as I did the 4 boys began pushing and taunting me, so I started running again. Next thing I know the teacher grabs me by the arm and starts to paddle me. Teachers could do that back then. She missed my ass and caught me in the back again, so I cussed at her. She sent me to the principal's office, and when I told him what had happened he just shook his head, then had me stand up to take 3 licks from his paddle. 5th grade is when I learned the world was utter bullshit. Why weren't you allowed to run on the playground? My school did the same thing. People would fall over and hurt themselves or run into the playsets. The first time I was followed by a couple of guys in a car. I was 12. I ran to the nearest house for help. And I asked them if we should call the police. And they said no. Looking back, I think they were wrong. Who in their right mind would deny a 12-year-old calling the police? You were a smart child. A selfish person who doesn't want to be inconvenienced to help someone. When our teacher would yell at us if we asked to go to the bathroom at the beginning of class because we should have gone earlier, and then yell at us if we asked to go in the middle of class because we were interrupting, and then yell at us if we wanted to go at the end because we were trying to ditch since the class was almost over. Between classes. My high school had 2 minutes between classes. 2 minutes. You can't take a leak and cross a 2-story building the size of a football field in less than 2 minutes. In preschool, my mom gave me a book of math problems and said if I got them all done by the end of the day, I'd get a reward. I did the shit out of those math problems. My reward was a hug. I felt like Patrick from the Valentine's episode of SpongeBob. My dad set up a system where, if I got good grades, I could buy things for my fish tank. It worked, because I loved my fish, and wanted to be the best fish mom. Told the teacher about it, and she scoffed and said, "You're only doing your work now for the reward, not because you have to." That's not how real life works. Anyhow, the way she would put me down broke my will to try any harder than I had to. Turns out though, if you work in real life you do get to buy stuff for your pets. My mom, you don't lie to others. Also my mom, getting caught red-handed while telling a lie, and I had to call her out on it. Any place where children under 11 eat free. Okay son, you're 10, got it. But mom, I'm 12. You're 10, god damn it. Was asked to watch the rectory on Friday nights, so the priests could have a night off. I was 12 years old. My job basically was to accept food that was brought by parishioners for the priests and find a place for it in their jammed-packed double-glassed door refrigerator that was as wide as 2 refrigerators. There were 4 priests at our tiny parish. I accepted fully cooked roasts, hams, casseroles, and cakes. I was told not to eat anything. A few months later I was made to clean the convent with a couple of the nuns as a punishment for talking too much in class. There were 23 nuns who lived on site and tagged school. Their kitchen had a tiny refrigerator, and when it was lunchtime they opened a cupboard of expired canned goods. We had very old tomato soup for lunch with stale bread and milk made from powder. I asked them if they knew about the food over at the rectory, and they said no. Did they ever get any of the food from the rectory? Not that I was aware of. There was so much food at the rectory I wondered how they could eat it all. The nuns ate donated food and wore donated clothes. No habits. When they sat us 7th grade girls down to discuss possibly becoming a nun, I said absolutely no way. Who threw that paper plane at the teacher? No one is confessing. Alright then, everyone is punished. Exactly the same happened in my school, but the school's staff interrogated all my class trying to find the culprit, managing to narrow down to 4 or 5 people. They all were suspended, formally apologized and made a presentation about respect. Right, cause that's not a waste of time and resources. Screw education, someone threw a paper airplane. My 1st grade teacher gave my table detention because we were the last people she asked about a missing name on an assignment. My mom would ask my opinion on things constantly. I would say it didn't matter to me, or whatever she thought was best, but she would force the issue until I finally answered. Then she would scream at me about how I didn't understand, or I was an idiot, or I never thought of her needs. I still panic a little when people ask for my opinion on something. I smiled at the first half, because I do think parents should encourage children to share their opinions. Then I got to the second half. What a miserable thing to do to a child. Yeah, I get that. My dad never tolerated differing opinions either. He'd ask, but the only good answer was to tell him what he wanted to hear. I didn't always know what that was, so I'd freeze up and hope the question was rhetorical. When I was in kindergarten we had that thing where you had a grid of boxes, and in each box was a word. You would have to cut out each box individually, then arrange the words in some order. After a few months of cutting out each box, like we had been shown, I figured that cutting out the rows and putting them on top of each other so the boxes lined up, and cutting them out like that, would take a lot less time. My teacher saw me do this. I had to stay in at recess to cut them out the right way. What the hell, you were literally just formulating important problem-solving skills. But this way he also got to learn that authority figures are often stupid, and there's nothing you can do about it. My little sister pushed me down the stairs, and I got in trouble for antagonizing her. She wouldn't do that for no reason. You did not know your daughter, mom and dad. To my knowledge it was for no reason, it was the morning, so I hadn't even gotten the chance to piss her off. Also, it wasn't the first time she had done it, just the first time my parents got involved. I bet she would also smile like an angel. I was around 7 to 8. It was sports day in my school and I participated in Pass the Baton. I was enjoying myself and trying my hardest, but at the end of it my class teacher told my mum, in front of me, that I was too slow. Not sure why I took it to heart, but I just felt disappointed, and it made me lose confidence in sports. Eating dog food because my mother used the child support for cigarettes. Hope your situation is better now. Fortunately, I have enough money now to afford therapy, lol. My mom informs everyone dinner is ready by yelling from the bottom of the stairs and expects me to hear her despite my room being on the other side of the house, my door being closed, and my TV being on. Also, my mom, don't yell from the top of the stairs. You need to ask me in person or else I can't hear you. I'm not made of ears, you know. I had a cousin who would bite anyone, just for the fun of it. Her mom would tell everyone not to punish her cause her 3-year-old was just a child and didn't understand what she was doing. So, all of us kids would get bite marks on our arms or face and couldn't do anything about it. Except one day, when I decided I had enough. Now, I was the kind of child that never got into trouble, would play by myself for hours, and got along with pretty much everyone. The parents knew this and didn't expect my reaction when baby devil teeth tried to go for my hand because I wouldn't let her destroy my domino stack. Without hesitation, I slapped her right on the mouth. It made a popping sound. It wasn't too hard, just enough to surprise her. She cried bloody murder. Her mom didn't say a word. The other parents were cheering internally. The biting stopped after that moment. Some adults really suck at parenting.